Good evening. Welcome to Spurs Review. We have got two brilliant guests today, although you can only see one of them. So hopefully Fuad will be joining us shortly. Tobes, how you doing, my man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Thanks for bringing me here, man. It's good to be here. Sorry, I've just been fiddling about with my lighting. I literally just got back now. I've realized I'm using the wrong lighting. There should be one on top of the camera, another one here, but it's fine. It's whatever, man.
Mate, listen, you look as sexy as you did in all those videos in the US. Don't worry. You look good to me. This is crazy. I mean, the show has been going for about 15 seconds. There are 240 of you in here already waiting to go. A lot has happened in the world of Spurs today without anything happening. Tobes, There's so much to talk about. And welcome to everyone. Smash your like on the way in. Smash your like on the way out. Put some questions in. I'll try and get to them if I can, but to be sure for them to be read out, put in a super chat. And thank you so much to everyone. I must say thank you. In the last 5 days, we've had over 800 subscribers, which has been a little bit crazy. So keep subscribing if you haven't already, and let's get to 7,000 hopefully by the end of the night. Tobes, here's a little rundown of things we're going to talk about today, because as much as we'd love to be Man City, I really don't feel like their shows could ever be as good as our shows, because it must get boring winning and having good players. We're going to talk about Harry Kane. We've got to. We're going to talk about reports saying that Van der Ven, that Spurs won't pay the money. Romano in the last hour has confirmed that a medical is happening tomorrow for Solomon. Makes sense. He's on free, tongue in cheek. And I want to talk to you as well about ticket prices going up. Let's start, Tobes. I know you're one of the level-headed Spurs YouTubers and fans. Where are we at with this Harry Kane situation? Have Bayern Munich been alerted that he wants to go, and this is why we're now seeing a second bid and possibly a third? What's your take on this whole situation?
Well, I think the whole of Europe and the whole of the world has been alerted that Harry Kane wants to go because he hasn't signed a new deal yet. So that in itself speaks volumes, right? He's been at this club since he was, 9-10 years old. So for me, the fact that he's not signed a new deal yet tells me he wants to leave, and he, at the very least, he wants the power in his hands. So I think Bayern are doing what other clubs haven't dared to do this summer because of the circumstances in which they've been negotiating. Daniel Levy, Kane being our best player, etc., etc. So some clubs like Man United haven't even tried, because Man United, let's be real, with the limited funds they have, they're not going to be able to afford someone like Harry Kane. Bayern, they desperately need a number 9, and they are willing to put what is a significant amount from their perspective into it, right? Their most expensive player cost 80 million euros, and that was Matthias de Ligt, right? So I think there's definitely intent on their side to try and get Harry Kane, but I feel like this chicken and egg game they're trying to play is a bit annoying, right? The price is the price. Spurs are not going to Spurs and Daniel Levy, they're not just going to say, oh wow, you've raised your 60 million euro bid to 70 million euros, he's yours. No, it's not going to happen, right? It's never going to happen. They know what the price is, so until they meet the criteria, they're just wasting their time.
I think the funny thing about it, Tobes, is when you actually look at the number of, it's banded around as 80 million. Now, obviously, that's euros. So the number 8 there is kind of misleading, because it actually works out, according to Google's exchange rate today, it actually works out to about £68 million for Harry Kane. Now, Kai Havertz just went for 65, right? There's not a chance Levy, I don't know what they do these days, fax, mobile phone, email. He's not reading it. He's not picking it up. He's not whatever, is he? 68 million?
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take? What realistically, if they come back in and say there's 100 million euros, 100 million euros, which I'm guessing will be 85 plus.
That'll be around 90 nowadays, because the exchange rate is murked. I think that'll be close to 90. That'll be close to 90. Let me just double check.
So as of today, it's 85.4 million. Is 85 million enough to take Harry Kane with 1 year on his contract?
For me, no. I think they need to chuck in at least another 5 to 10 million. But I feel like if you can get that for Harry Kane from an overseas club, which avoids him having to play and stay in the Premier League, then I feel like that's a bid that the club should consider, right? I feel like 85 million, I think they should potentially consider that bid. You can ask for more, but it's definitely a bid worth considering.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, listen, you and I haven't had this chat. I don't know where you're at with this. And this is a question I've asked, and people have actually sent me hate over this. I know you won't, so I'll ask you. I feel safe. If Spurs were to get 90 million, would you prefer that to having him for one more year, another year of 30 goals, and then he goes on a free to a Premier League club next year? Would you take that 90 million now, or do you want one more year of him if that was the option?
I'm taking the 90 million. I'm taking the 90 million pounds. Harry Kane is going to leave this club, right? So I think we have to, as a fan base, we have to recognize that he's going. He's going. I'm not saying it's impossible that Kane stays at Spurs. There's of course a chance that Harry Kane could stay. You never know what could happen next summer. All of a sudden, the big teams maybe manage to buy strikers, etc., and Kane has a change of heart. You never know. It's never out of the realms of possibility. But in the world I live in reality, that's very unlikely. The least likely outcome out of all of this is Harry Kane stays at Spurs. It's either he leaves Tottenham on a free transfer to a club in the UK or overseas, or he leaves Tottenham this summer to a club in the UK or overseas. For me, those are the main and most likely outcomes. Now, I think where I stand on this is Harry Kane. To get Harry Kane out of the club, you have to give us a fee that befits Harry Kane's status to the club, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm seeing Bayern making a 70 million euro bid, 80 million euro bid, sorry, that's not enough. I would much rather keep Harry Kane for one more year, because for me, his goals to Spurs are worth more than 60 million pounds. Yeah. But when you're talking 90 million, 100 million, that's more like it. That's with a year left on his deal, 30 years old. I can't really be mad at 90 to 100 million. I feel like you basically milked this. You could probably get more money, but you've probably milked this to a good enough standard where you're getting enough money to befit the player that you're losing. And I would be comfortable with that. And for me personally, my preference is this. My preference is to sell Harry Kane this summer for the best possible price, because I don't want to lose this guy for free. I mean, I'll put up with it. I'll put up with it if we're getting derisory bids. I'm never going to complain at another season of Harry Kane, but I just feel like losing Harry Kane on a free transfer does not set the club well enough to replace him. It just doesn't.
It's a strange one, isn't it? You know, at the end of the day, Harry Kane is, look, as Sean always says, and by the way, everyone's asking where Sean is. Sean's got something that he needed to attend to. There's no issues. He's got something he needs to attend to. He'll be back on YouTube tomorrow. The problem with this type is that Sean always says there will come a day when Harry Kane has kicked his last ball for Tottenham Hotspur. As you say, it's not going to be for 68 million pounds. But I want to flip the argument a little bit. Let's just assume he is going, right? The big argument at the moment is, are Bayern Munich a good club for Harry Kane to go to? Because the argument is, well, hang on, they win Bundesliga every year anyway. So what he's doing, he's going there and he's literally getting like a tap-in. Some people would refer to, he's getting a tap-in. But Bayern Munich are like one of the biggest clubs in world football, and players like Lewandowski go there, and Lahm and De Ligt and Mane. Why is Harry Kane above that? This is a guy that's not won anything, Tobes. Where do you sit on that whole, he could leave, but Bayern aren't big enough?
Yeah, sorry, I just realized my mic. So people were talking about the sound. I just realized my mic was set to my camera mic, not my actual mic. So when I was talking, it was picking up from the camera. So let me know if that's better. So I'm actually talking from my mic now. So my actual
people were talking about how big your mic was. I didn't know if this was an innuendo or what, but apparently you've got a really big one.
It's just a normal Yeti. It's a normal Yeti. I'm sure you've got the same. I'm sure you've got the same.
I've got a Yeti on the floor. I've got a Shure. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, where are you with that? Because like Paul Merson has tongue in cheek come out and going, oh yeah, go and join Bayern Munich and help them win their 97th title in a row. But the guy's got no trophies.
Paul Merson is just waffling, man. Like, let's be real. I feel like it's only like a football Twitter mentality, right? To say that, oh, going to Bayern Munich, no one's gonna care about the trophies. He cares about the trophies. The reason why he's entertaining this is because he cares, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget about what everyone else thinks. Yes, Paul Merson may think that because ultimately there's greater weight in winning like a Premier League title with any Premier League club, bar maybe Man City, versus winning a Bundesliga with Bayern. Because let's be real, it's a one team league. Sorry, my timer just went off. It's a one team league. However, they're still a giant. When you talk about the top 5 biggest clubs on the planet, Bayern Munich are there, right? This is a team with rich tradition. They've won the Champions League multiple times, right? They have dominated the world multiple times, right? They're a humongous institution with several elite players to play there. Ian Robben, Lewandowski, Frank Ribery, Michel Ballack, like they've Bastian Schweinsteiger. So Harry Kane going to Bayern to stat pad, I mean, that's what he wants. He wants to win trophies. Doesn't matter whether
isn't that what all big players do? But
yeah.
like, sorry to cut you off, but like when I hear things like, "Oh yeah, but going to Bayern is guaranteed a trophy," you know, the argument I was having in a WhatsApp group the other day was, "Hang on, isn't that what Man City have now turned into in the Premier League? Isn't that what PSG?" Look at this good-looking guy who's in the backstage. There he is. Fuad, how you doing, bro?
Hey. Sorry for my lateness, man. I was just eating grub that had arrived and completely forgot.
Don't worry, we just all assumed you'd gone to find Daniel Levy to kick some sense into him. Don't worry about it, Fuad. Listen, bro, I'll come to you in 1 second. And by the way, just while we've got a break in play, so to speak, there's 500 of you exactly in here at the moment, and it's growing, and only 150 likes. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. I fail to believe all 500 of you have. If you haven't, please do. Let's get to 7K tonight. Subscribe to Fuad, subscribe to Tobes, show some love to the Spurs family. Just before I come to Fuad, Tobes, what I was saying is isn't this what all the leagues are turning into now, right? Couldn't this be argued that anyone that signs for City now is getting a tap-in? Anyone that goes to PSG is getting a tap-in of a trophy. Madrid, like all of these clubs, you're guaranteed, right?
Yeah, and that goes back to the point I was saying. I feel like it's down to us as fans to debate that. Oh, because it's just debates. They're debates that you have. But really and truly, when you're talking footballing careers, right? If Harry Kane goes to Bayern Munich and wins everything 10 times over at Bayern Munich, when he's spoken about, when he's retired, they're going to talk about him as a guy who's won several trophies. They're not going to care about whether it's for Bayern or whether it's for City. You're winning trophies. And on the Man City point as well, Man City have been the best team in the league for the last 4 or 5 years, barring 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So they obviously they're not spending the most money nowadays, but they have the most expensively assembled squad. They have the best manager in the league. They're the richest club in the league outside of maybe Newcastle, etc., etc. So what's the difference? What is the difference? Yes, the competition is fiercer in the Premier League. Yes, teams are allowed to spend more money in the Premier League, but ultimately, this is a team that's being dominated. This is a league that's being dominated by one side over the last couple of years. The only difference is that side is being pushed more by the teams below them versus Bayern and Dortmund or whoever. But even when you look at this season, Bayern won the league on what? By 1 point this season?
By no points. They won it by goal difference.
They won it on goal difference. Sorry, they won it on goal difference. So, yeah, man. Listen, I could get where Paul Merson's coming from, but ultimately I can't agree because in the end of the day, the man himself, Harry Kane, has said that he wants to win trophies. He wants to win honors. That's what he wants. He said he'd trade, what was it that he said? He'd trade X number of goals for a trophy or something like that. He wants to win.
Yeah. I mean, Fuad, listen, welcome to the show. Long time no speak. I see you cleaning up on YouTube on all these shows and, you know, putting the good fight going. Listen, where are you at with the whole Kane situation, Fuad? Because look, I get in trouble for this. You know me, I'm quite outspoken. I feel that Spurs fans say things to make themselves feel better. like, oh, why would he want to go to Bayern Munich? It's easy. Whereas I look at it and go, hang on, he's playing for Tottenham Hotspur and we don't win trophies. Like Bayern Munich, that's a big deal, right? Yeah. Where are you on this whole Bayern Munich Harry Kane scenario?
Listen, I can see Kane wanting the move purely, as Tobes was saying, for the trophies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed a title as soon as you go there. I think they've won, the last 9 or 10 in a row. So you're pretty much guaranteed silver, and that will kind of break that hoodoo. I think they've wanted to replace the likes of Lewandowski, and I think he very much falls into that caliber of player. If he went there 2-3 years, he could be seen and remembered as kind of one of Bayern's great strikers, like a Makai, like a Giovanni Elba. Those guys were only there for a 4 or 5 year period. So you can kind of do a similar thing. Question I find difficult, to be fair, is Daniel Levy is the one within all this making this difficult. Daniel Levy is the one essentially saying there is a price point here. And it's a similar thing with City just last year, where it was a case of, you've offered us 150 million, but I want, or 100 million, sorry, they offered. Yeah. We want 150 million. Now it's a case of whether it's 90 million or 100 million. I don't think we've specified exactly what we want, but 75 and 80 million is far too low. And I said it on, I was with Harry and Cams the other day. I said, as much as we, the fans, could see that Kane was potentially going to leave this summer, we should have been prepared for it. We should have been planned. I don't think when you look at the playing field and you look at potential replacements, there is a plethora there that you can kind of go, yep, he's a natural replacement. He's a natural. When you look at guys like Kolo Muani and Højlund being quoted for 100 mil plus, and then you hear Harry Kane going for 75 million, 80 million. Yeah. It's kind of laughable. These guys couldn't lace Kane's boots up at the end of the day. But at the same time as well, we've got a director of football in jail at the moment. You've got a new manager that's come in. The first thing you're going to tell him essentially is your best player is going to walk out the door. So I think that's where kind of Daniel Levy, in my opinion, is going to play hardball all summer. And Bayern Munich are essentially going to have to come to the table and either present a deal where they can get Kane to fulfill his ambitions. The problem is I think Kane has to do an almighty kick up a fuss in the sense of not turn up to preseason training.
Handing in a transfer request type of fuss?
Not do a little golf course walk around with Gary Neville, but actually come out with a strong worded statement and say, look, I tried last year. This is my second attempt. Cash in on me now or lose me for nothing, basically. And the fans, we're all here, sat here. We know we could lose him, and we've been knowing we could lose him. So no one's going to sit there and be bitter about it. But the question is I feel at the end of the day, Daniel Levy is going to play hardball with this situation. And in a way, when I look at the replacements out there, I can see why maybe you're just like, you know what, let's hold on for another year. Why not?
Yeah.
And I've said, I wouldn't even rule out the possibility of him signing a new deal. I know it sounds absurd, but if Daniel Levy holds him prisoner and all of a sudden United get their number 9 signing, Madrid turn their attention to Mbappe, the doors start closing everywhere. Let's say Bayern Munich do go and get a Kolo Muani, who they're also linked with, or Osimhen. I can see Kane saying, do you know what, the doors are closed. Let me be a one-club man. I'll stick around. It might be a little bit wishful thinking. Don't get me wrong.
No. Listen,
listen.
I think he will. I think he will, Fuad, because I'll get in trouble for this again. I don't care. I don't think he's got that ambition that other players have. Like, this is a big debate that we've been having for months now on my channel. Is I think top players want to go and win things, and Harry Kane is far too good. And okay, I do this all the time. I ask everyone in the chat, name me a player as good as Harry Kane in the history of football. I'm not talking last decade, history of football, that never won a trophy, right? And the names that come up are Matt Letizia, who, stayed at Southampton his whole career. Who else? Totti won a league. Totti won a league and a World Cup. Like, for me, I can't understand why he'd want to be here. If he does sign, though, do you agree it needs to be like, this needs to be nipped in the bud as in this window? I don't think he can go next season knowing that he could leave on a free, because I think that just leaves a horrible cloud over the club for a whole year.
I think we don't get a choice in how quick the deal gets signed. We can offer a deal, if you like, let's say September, as soon as the window's closed. The ball is in his court at the moment. And as much as this is almost like the last window for Levy to really have control, after this is all in Harry Kane's court. And for me, I think someone said it perfectly. He's got that alpha ability, but he's got that beta mentality for me. And that's what it will tell me this summer. If he doesn't demand that move this summer and then doesn't walk away on a free next year, that says everything you need to know about kind of where trophies lie on his priority of his careers, in my honest opinion. Because I look at our situation, and as much as I would love him to stay and sign a new deal and all this, can I realistically see us challenging for any kind of silverware over the next 2 or 3 years? Not really, unless Ange comes in this season really blowing something and we really build that kind of foundation this year while we're not in Europe for next year. I can't really see that personally, and especially if he's going to be walking away within the next 12 months, I don't see why he wouldn't leave. And as I said, it's going to be a big judge on his ambition and his mentality, I think, over how he handles himself over the next 6 months. And if he keeps doing this kind of passive thing and just seeing how things go and saying, yeah, I do want to win trophies. No, you've got to come out one way or the other, I think.
Yeah.
And in a fun way, it pushes the club as well. If he does come out strong-worded, it forces the club to make a move. Whether it's they have to come out and say, we're not selling him, we're going to let him go on a free, or it's a case of this is the price bracket. Because at the moment, we still haven't even heard anything from the club about what they want.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it? And the fact is, I'm hearing, I don't know if this is true, that he's back to training Wednesday. It is what I'm hearing. If that's true, we fly Friday to Thailand. I mean, like, what happens then? What, Kane's on the plane, but this is still all up in the air, and like, look, the whole thing's crazy to me. I'm going to ask a question, and I know a lot of people won't like to critical think, and I think critical thinking is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an argument for her to say that we've relied on Harry Kane so much for the last however many years? And sorry to both of you, now that Tobes has sorted his massive mic out and his lighting. Is there an argument to say that if Kane was to go, that we might actually become a better team because it will force us to find a way of playing that doesn't revolve around just getting the ball to Harry Kane? It will force us to chip in with goals everywhere like Brighton do, like Arsenal did last year, where not one of their players got more than 15 league goals. Could that be something that we evolve into if Kane did go?
I think
it can be. Go on, Tobbs.
No, you go first. Because I wanted to. Go on.
It can be a possibility, but I always think the last time we kind of had a player of this kind of caliber, Gareth Bale, when we sold him, you could have said then kind of, if we sell him, could we maybe evolve into a different team? And honestly, after that window, I know in hindsight it's wonderful, but after that window, when you saw Paulinho, Soldado, Lamela, a lot of those players, Ericsson, you were looking at, they've got potential to kind of come in and help us improve in certain areas. Once you saw they all were bust, it didn't really look that pretty. So I think sometimes the idea is great, but the execution has to happen. And I think that's where we have always shown lacking. Those teams that you just said, Brighton and Brentford, I think that's what they are very good at. The execution of signing the right players, scouting the right players, introducing them in at the right time. I think time and time again, you've seen us when we've gone and signed young, whether it's a Ryan Clark, whether it's a Sessegnon, whether it's a Gill. We don't know how to manage these players. We don't know how to introduce them. Sarr making his debut in a Champions League game. It's like, come on, what is this how you're developing youngsters?
Could there be an argument though, Fuad, that those players at the time when they were bought into teams that didn't really have a philosophy and a system? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like what we've played the last 4 or 5 years, it didn't really suit anybody, if that makes sense. Whereas under Postecoglou, I think we kind of know how we're going to play. I'm just trying to find positives out of that. Kane. Yeah. Guys, I don't know how old everyone in here is, right? I've seen Bale come and go. I've seen Sheringham come and go twice. I've seen Hoddle go. I've seen Waddle go. I've seen Gaza go. I'm not in the, oh my God, if Harry Kane leaves, we're going to get relegated kind of pack. So I'm just looking for the positives from that.
I think there will be a significant drop-off. And I think that's where my worry is I think we're not well equipped enough to replace him well enough, whether that's in the number of players we bring in, whether it's 2 players to give us those number of goals, or actually being able to identify. Like me personally, I'd be hedging all my bets on Evan Ferguson. I would start now over the next 12 months doing everything I can to try and lure that kid away from Brighton. Whether I'm paying 60 mil, 70 mil, 80 mil, I don't care. Profile-wise, that kid looks ready-made to be the next one up. But
he looks good. He looks good.
I like him.
Yeah,
I like him.
so that's kind of where I would be looking at. But I know this club has no idea of that. And within a year or so, he'll be linked with clubs like United and he'll be way out of our kind of range.
Yeah, and can you imagine Daniel Levy negotiating with the Brighton chairman that literally turns around to clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea and he's like, no, don't care. Give me 90 million or go away. Can you imagine Levy? He'll go 30 million on a Mars bar. No. It's crazy. Tobes, I'm just, listen, by the way, people in the chat, stop getting so upset. Sometimes when I ask a question, it doesn't mean I believe it. I'm asking questions. Relax. It's all good. It's all good. Smash the like, subscribe to these 2 chaps. Ben will put all their links in the chat and subscribe to me as well. We're now only 140 away from, that is awful maths. We're 158 away from the 7,000. So let's get there quickly. Tobes, could it be though that let's say Kane goes, all right, and let's say that we don't bring in a like for like, because as Fu had alluded to, players like Muani and Højlund, they're going for ridiculous prices when, let's be fair, these guys haven't scored bundles in their career.
They're 1 in 3 guys.
Right.
Yeah.
So could it be that we've got players within our ranks and we could possibly shuffle a few bits around? Maybe Son goes through the middle and, you know, because for me, that's where I don't think he's...
Yeah.
This is really going to piss off 630 people. I don't think he's that good a footballer, but I think he's an excellent finisher. So maybe him being on...
That's straight fact. That's just straight facts. We have to be brutally honest with it. And Fuad has been banging this drum on our show for like 2 years now. When you watch Son play, there are times where, like, I think if he's running in a straight line and he's got the ball and he's on it, he can carry the ball up the pitch. But when it comes to Son at the edge of the box, 1v1, taking on these man, chopping in, chopping out, like he hasn't got that quality at this point in time as a winger. Like, for me, Son is much more of a forward than a winger. He doesn't play like a winger. He plays like a forward with his runs off the ball and his exceptional finishing. And I feel like moving Son into the middle would probably help maximize the finishing aspect. But I do think if you were to put Son in the middle, for instance, I think we definitely have to change the way we play. I think we're going to change the way we play anyway now. Because of Ange, but we'd have to change the way we play in terms of not using him as an outlet. Like, he's someone that we need to sort of feed him the ball, as opposed to give him the ball and then try and play off him. Like, we'd never be able. We'd never. But your point is fair, and I think it's part of a variety of options that Spurs have at their disposal. Like, losing a player of Harry Kane's caliber, there's always going to be a drop off, right? Like, I do think Spurs can get better as a team, and there can still be a drop off, because I feel like, yes, let's say, hypothetically speaking, the recruitment team actually did their jobs properly and nailed all 5 targets and they were all banging and stuff. You, just by not having Harry Kane, you lose the one world-class player in your team that can literally make a goal out of nothing. You lose that ability, right? But in the end of the day, if he was to leave, you have the option to move Son into the middle and get a proper 1v1 winger on the left-hand side. Or you can try and give Richarlison more minutes. Like, there's multiple solutions that Spurs can work with. The problem here is, no matter which solution they take, it's going to cost quite a bit of money, just because of the caliber of player that we're losing and how much it costs to sign good players nowadays. It costs a lot of money to sign good players nowadays, whether it's out wide or through the middle. So it's going to be very, very expensive to replace Harry Kane, which is why I'm so big on trying to get as much money as possible for him in this window. I remember I was listening to you and Fuad talking earlier on about Harry Kane. If he wants to be serious about leaving and stuff, he should push a move. I have a different opinion to this, because I feel like, from his perspective, we don't know the conversations he's had behind the scenes. He's probably told the club, I want to leave. And the fact that he hasn't signed a new deal probably indicates that. I think he's chill. I think he's more than I think he loves the club that much that he's more than happy to wait another year. And I feel like even outside of Tottenham, it's in his best interest probably to go on a free as opposed to a team paying for him now with a transfer fee, because I feel like his earning potential is probably more next summer than it is this summer. So I think he's relaxed. I think it's up to the club. It's up to the club to actually draw a line in the sand. If he is going to stay for one more year, announce that and say we're not selling Harry Kane. He's going to stay for one more year. He's going to move on a free transfer. And if you're gonna sell him, then try and sell him for the best possible price.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Listen, last question to you, Fuad, on Harry Kane, then we're going to move subjects, and I will get in the super chats that are waiting. As Ben says, Ben, chief moderator, keep it clean in the chat, people. It's only football at the end of the day. Please remember that. Everyone's got proper struggles. Whether Kane comes or goes isn't going to change my personal life. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, smash the likes, smash the subscribe. Don't be Daniel Levy about it. Talking about Daniel Levy, last question on Kane, Fuad. If Harry Kane walks away next summer for free, will that be the biggest and most incompetent decision of all the decisions that Daniel Levy has made at this football club? Would that be the worst, letting one of the greatest strikers in the world go for zero?
I mean, there's honestly quite a few to kind of compare it to. So I don't know if you could say it's outright number one, but it's definitely up there. I've said Harry Kane is a player who I think best we've ever produced out of our academy, and maybe for the next 200 years, we probably won't produce another one like that, in my opinion. Like that's a once in a generation type of player that you get.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's him walking away on a free. It's almost like, after everything he's given us, cool. You deserve, the floor is yours. You deserve to have the choice almost. But for us to get absolutely nothing out of it, which is why I think it will be a little bit disappointing if this summer we don't cash in and he does leave on a free. This was a massive opportunity almost to use that to reinvest it, as you're saying, to potentially try and get one or two replacements. Maybe try and go for, I don't know, an overpriced striker, but at least you would kind of be in a clearer situation where you're like, all right, we're moving on. This is the end of an era. And I've always said the moment Kane leaves is honestly this whole Pochettino, everything era. It's going to feel like the end of an era. Kane leaving is almost like the end of that era. And this is when the new one kind of begins after that, the new chapter, if you like. So, yeah,
absolutely. Well, listen, let me do a couple of super chats, then we're going to move on. First of all, thank you to Jamie Allen, who has said, get rid of Kane and start the rebuilding process now. I'm not sure about getting rid, but yeah, I get your sentiment. Yeah, let's get some money and build. Loves music. Big up to you, has said, Enoch has shareholders. No way he leaves on a free. There's that way of looking at it. At the moment, though, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And Morton Barley has said, did Ange anticipate all this, or is he thinking, what the F? We'll get into... look, okay, let's discuss that quickly now before we move subject. Guys, Ange Postecoglou is not stupid, right? He would know about Levy and how he works, and he would know that there was a chance Harry Kane is going to go. So doesn't that say good things about him, that he's come here going, hang on, I might lose Kane, cool, I'll build something. I'm trying to put a positive spin on that, Tobes.
No, I agree. I think it is, and I'm even for me as well. Like, I'm sure you probably heard my thoughts on him. When he was initially linked to the job, I didn't want him. And even when he got it, like, I didn't want him, but I'm willing to give him a chance because I actually like his personality and the type of football he plays, from what I've read anyway. So the one thing I also read about him is like the journalists have said that he's not a manager that's wedded to one specific player, no matter how good they are, right? So I don't think he's walked into this saying, wow, obviously he would love to keep a player of Harry Kane's caliber, but I think he's also walked into it with the mindset that if I was to lose Harry Kane, I can still make something work here, right? And I think ultimately that's the type of mentality that we need to have as our next manager, right? The two managers we had previously, especially was way too dependent on Harry Kane. It was Kane or bust, right? The other, even when Harry Kane was scoring, we were still losing, right? So I think having a manager that can find different solutions and can get us back to how we used to be under Pochettino is the best, because Harry Kane was banging in 25, 30 league goals, but there were spells where Harry Kane wasn't available, missing for 2-3 months on end, and Spurs barely missed a beat. Like, we barely missed a beat. There was probably 1 or 2 occasions where it was a bit sticky, but for the most part, we barely missed a beat because we had a manager who had a system that wasn't predicated solely on what Harry Kane's going to offer on over the course of 90 minutes. If there was no Kane there, it wasn't just a manager. To be fair, we had a better plethora of talent to actually chip in, right? Whereas now we don't have that. Outside of Kane, it's only Son, who's going to score the amount of goals that we need based off last season.
But isn't it slightly skewed, Tobes? You know when people say, like, if Kane goes, we lose 30 goals. I always thought that's
it's a dumb way to look at it.
Skewed argument, isn't it? Because if Kane hadn't played, somebody would. Listen, I'm not saying 30 goals, but other players play and other people have to step up and score goals. It's not just, take our goal tally this year and minus 30, is it? It's not really a true reflection on a player leaving.
Yeah, no, I think it's a crazy way to look at football. Like, football doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. When one player leaves, typically another player steps up, right? And it's not a case of a player like, we don't know. It's not a case of a player coming in and then scoring 30 goals. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if Harry Kane wasn't there, Richarlison would have played way more minutes. Who knows? If he would have scored more than his one Premier League goal. But Fuad's giving me a funny look. So let me switch it away from.
Fuad wants to come in on Richarlison.
Yeah,
was that the name? Was that the name, Fuad, that got you?
Yeah. Let me switch it away from Richarlison. But who's to say that Son might have not been given more opportunities through the middle? When Kane was injured last time round, when Kane was missing last time round under Pochettino, Son would be played through the middle. And guess what? His goal record in central areas was quite good. He had a 2 and 3. He had a 2 and 3 rate for Pochettino, if I'm not mistaken, through the middle. So the point I'm making is others usually step up and carry the load. It may not be to the extent of 30 goals, which speaks to the testament of Harry Kane as a player, but there'll be more. Others will score, man. Spurs are not just going to go the whole season without scoring.
Well, we got 70. We got 70 last season, right? So some people, in their theory, we would have only scored 40 goals.
Silly. How many did we score the season before? And Harry Kane only scored like 16, 17.
How many? I think goals will come from other areas naturally. I think, as you said, Sav, which is kind of the topic, will it make us a better team? I think naturally it will. It will force other players to kind of get more involved. You think over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, how many midfielders have we had that are consistent goal-scoring contributors? I think Ndombele was the last one with maybe 5 or 6. I think he contributed that one season under Jose. Bentancur, Højbjerg, those guys are not really contributing numbers. How many goals have we had from even our defenders going up for set pieces? Your Dyers, your Leng. Those guys are meant to usually chip in at 3 or 4 goals a season or whatever. Nothing. So outside of Kane and Son, really and truly goals-wise, we've always lacked those, which is why I understand that kind of almost fear mentality. But other players will have to contribute. Other players will have to step up. And I think naturally when that big gap does kind of occur, players do want to see that. Maybe you see a big jump in Kulusevski's numbers. Who knows?
See, that's what I was about to say to you, Phil.
Or Richarlison.
We'll come to Richarlison in a minute.
Please, man, relax, Told.
It's the truth, though. It's the truth, though. The guy scored double figures in 3 out of 4 seasons.
1 year later, you're still on this.
If he starts,
summer, you're still here.
I'm still here. I'm saying with chest, as shit as he was last year, because he was dog shit last year, I think if he's the out and out striker, of course there's a considerable drop off from Harry Kane. But I guarantee you he scores more than 1 Premier League goal. He does. He definitely does.
The bar is on the floor.
Yes, the bar's on the floor, but I'm just giving you
just beat that and we'll like you.
I think the Richarlison debate is a very interesting one, isn't it? Because look, I didn't want him. I didn't want him. I've stood by. Yeah, I remember having this conversation with you guys ages ago. I didn't want him, but we've got him. right? And unless anyone comes in and pays, look, we know what Levy's like. Unless anyone comes in and pays 40 odd million or 45 million, I don't think he's going anywhere. But
my Saudi brothers,
my Saudi brothers,
I know you hear me. I know you hear me. My brothers in arms, my brothers in Islam, please save us.
How frustrating is it that the Saudi Arabians have come from nowhere, right, to buy all of these players, but yet no Spurs players. Like they're even going for Zaha from like no Spurs players.
I saw
Why
one
can't
of them
they like Eric Dyer?
They offered Maitland-Niles like a 3-year deal or something like that.
Bro, if Ziyech, Zaha, Callum Hudson-Odoi, those guys, Lingard, those guys are getting deals, Richarlison can go and get. He just needs to go and show them.
He would go. He would go.
Go show them the World Cup bicycle kick and just say, hey, that's me there. Oh, nice.
Sorry, Tobes, are you saying? By the way, just before we continue with Richarlison, guys, there are 712 of you in the chat and 250 likes. Like this is daylight robbery. Do you know what? If this doesn't go up, then I hope Kane leaves and I hope it's for free and I hope he goes to Chelsea. I'm saying it. No, don't clip that. Someone clips that. I'm in trouble, and yeah, someone's going to clip that. Right. Please like, subscribe as well. From 724 of you now, I fail to believe you've all subscribed. If 20 of you want to go over and smash the subscribe to Tobes as well. He's hitting big numbers. Fuad's always hitting big numbers. Subscribe to me as well. Richarlison, Tobes, are you telling me someone in Saudi Arabia comes in and goes, there is £50 million? You wouldn't want to let Richarlison go.
No, I'm selling
50 million.
I'm definitely selling him for 50 million quid. Yeah, I would.
I feel confused by you. I'm confused. You like him or?
I do like him, but if we can recoup 90% of what we've paid for him and use that on a better player, I'll do so. Like he's a good player, but he's got issues. He's got glaring issues as a footballer, and I knew he had some of these issues, but the positives I've not seen at Spurs. I've only seen mostly the negatives. The only reason why I speak on this with Richarlison is because I don't think there is an appetite for Spurs to sell Richarlison this summer. I think even beyond the fact that maybe there aren't clubs interested at this point in time, I don't think Spurs are actively looking to sell Richarlison at the moment. And I feel like he's a player that they still feel like they can get something out of. And me personally, I still think we can get something out of Richarlison, man. I genuinely do. This upcoming season is last chance hurrah for me, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of thinking that about him as a player, right? But I feel like we can. If he plays more minutes, in a position that he's most comfortable with, who knows what can happen? He could get back to the levels that he showed for Everton, man. I don't think he's this waste of space footballer. I know he played like it last year, but I don't think he is that.
Oh, I don't even know what this means. I'm very timid in front of Toby and Fuad. I mean, all right, okay, sorry, yeah, okay. What a weird comment. I don't know. Sorry, it caught my eye, and I thought I'd just look at it. Yeah, what you see is what you get with me. Really? Let's move on from that. What I would say, the only other thing I would say is you brought Maddison in, who's gonna. You want double figures from him, goal-wise as well, free kicks. He has lots of pot shots from outside the box. Fuad mentioned it. Kulusevski, for me, this is a big year for him. He's got to come to the party because he got 2 goals all year. 2 goals. That's a shocker.
I think he had a lot of injury issues in key points of the years. I think start of the season, he started off like missing the first. I think after the first 2 games, maybe the next 4 or 5 games. I remember January when we came back from the World Cup, so he was out for like a month with that knee injury. I think me and Tobes kept saying, like, after that injury, when he came back from it, he just didn't look himself up until I think maybe the last 3-4 games of the season. I thought, and like he just didn't look himself at all. I don't know whether the knock had an effect on him or his confidence was down. We were playing like shit. The whole Conte situation. So I think back end of last season, I kind of was like, you know what, this season I'm willing to kind of write off. But next season, as you said, I am expecting a big season. And to be honest, from what I saw of the initial 6 months when he joined, this kid, it's not a matter of doubting his ability. It's just a matter of putting it together.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
I do think though, injury lets him off the hook a little bit. I can't lie. I think the start of the season, he was actually. I think the first half of the campaign, despite him not scoring goals, he was visibly for me one of our best players, if not the best performer alongside Kane and Bentancur. I felt like when he wasn't in the team, it was visibly clear the drop off in quality. When he was in the team, you saw how he elevated us. I look at games we lost against Liverpool, exceptional. Leeds, exceptional. Southampton, the first game of the season, he was class as well. Even when he came on the pitch against Leicester when we won, I think he was. In fact, no, sorry, that wasn't him. That was Son. But the point I'm making is, I felt like beyond the stats, his general in-game performance was good first half of the campaign. But then even with him being missing a couple of games with injury, but ever since the World Cup, the performances were too bad. And the first 3-4 games, I could say, okay, maybe it's rust. You've just come back from your injury. But 2 or 3 months down the line, sorry, this ain't injury, man. You're just playing bad. And I love Kulusevski, but you're just playing bad, and you need to rise it.
Tobes, right? Do you know the theory I always look at whenever talking about Spurs players? I always say, take the example. Now, if they're an Arsenal player, what are we saying? And I do this a lot with like Ollie Skip, who I don't rate, by the way. I do this a lot. I always use him as an example. People go, oh, no, he's good and he's going to be this and he's going to be that. And I'm like, if he played centre mid for Arsenal, we'd be laughing. Right? I feel the same about a lot of our players. But look, I do want to move on. But this comment is quite funny, actually, from Jazz Jones saying, 20 years ago, if you were told Tottenham would have Brazil's number 9, you'd be excited, wouldn't you? If I had Brazil's number 9 from 20 years ago, I probably would be excited. It's only Tobes that seems to really like Richarlison. But, hey, it is what it is. Guys, let's go to some news today, depending on reports you want to believe and reports you don't want to believe. Lots of reports saying that Van der Ven last week was close to being wrapped up. Now, apparently, the biggest word in football, I must caveat that, apparently they want 40 million euros instead of 30 million, and we won't pay the money. Is this all paper talk? Is this all nonsense? Does this sound very much like Daniel Levy? And how are we about to go on tour with the same group of centre-backs that we've had that feels like forever and can't defend? How is this happening, Fuad? What is going on?
Personally, I don't mind this kind of situation happening. I saw the Van der Ven clip of him doing that one recovery run, and all of a sudden it seemed like every Spurs fan was just on board with the signing after that. And I was like, hold on. Does anyone know what this guy's actually good at? So I haven't seen too much of him. Mm-hmm. When I hear a price of 40 million, I'm thinking that's got to be a ready-made player to come in ready to make the difference. I'm not looking at him and thinking he's going to do that. I'm looking at him as a project, potentially. A young player who could come in, grow. We got to let him adapt to the Premier League. Oh, he's got to put on 3 more kilos. We'll see the best of him next year. I don't want to hear none of that. And when we're talking about those kind of prices, forget about it. Go and get Tapsoba, who's way more ready, way more proven. Go and get Castello Luqueba at Lyon. Way more ready, way more proven, physically ready to go. I was saying last year to Tobes, Badiashile was sitting there waiting, and we just walked at it. But for me, I think you think when it comes to centre-backs in our position, the last actual centre-back we signed to address that position was Christian Romero. Since then, we have not made any actual serious business to improve that defense. When we signed Romero, I thought, okay, piece 1 has come in. Since Toby and Jan, we haven't tried to address this area. We tried with Davinson, we got our fingers burnt, and since then it's like we decided, let's just fall back a little bit. And now it's like I said to Tobes last year and this year, 2 centre-backs is the number 1 and number 2 priority of the window. As much as I love Maddison, as much as I want to replace Lloris, the first positions we should address is that. And right now we've addressed every other position just like we did last year. Because remember last year we started it off hot, boom, boom, boom. This year
isn't this deja vu, Fuad? I feel like somebody put a message into my YouTube earlier, so I can't take credit for this, but it's bang on. They turned around and said, this has got all the hallmarks of last year. If you remember last year, we went in early with Forster on a free. right? So a goalkeeper like Vicario, but we've got a goalkeeper. Solomon's coming on a free. We got Perisic on a free, right? Wide player. And we bought in Basuma, who had 1 year left on his contract, cheap, the way we now have with Maddison. We've waited till he's in the Championship, 1 year left. And then all of a sudden it goes, yeah, this is good to, oh, God, no, we're going back to being Spurs. I just can't understand how we're going to Thailand without new centre-backs. I cannot understand it.
I'll be honest with you, even this goalkeeper, he better start off kind of firing on all cylinders, not kind of look too out of place this year, because let's not forget, we were started the window off with going for Raya, 40 million, ready-made replacement, Premier League proven, can play with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
Ticks all the boxes. But we said, we'd rather pay half the price for this young prospect from Italy. We're going to go take the gamble. That's the same thing as we did with Rodon. That's the same thing we did was the year before. I can't remember who it was. But we've done that kind of take the cheaper option time and time again. Last year with Bastoni ended up with Lenglet. So it's for me, I just hope it isn't that kind of situation across all these deals, whether it's a Van de Ven, whether it's a Vicario. I just want players who are actually well scouted, well placed to come in and actually can make a difference this season.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing for me, Tobes. Sorry, go on, mate. Did you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, I think on your point though, Fuad, I do think that the outside of Solomon, who I think that's just opportunism. Spurs just seen him. He played in the Premier League and he cost nothing, so that's why they're going for him. Outside of Solomon and Longley, I do actually think there has been some element of thought to the signings or the names that have been linked. Like I've not watched a minute of Van de Ven, but just reading up about the type of player he is and what type of system he plays, his characteristics, i.e., being able to carry the ball, rapid, can play in a high line, and even his style of defending. I've heard that he's like a aura type defender. You know, like Van Dijk, the jockeying. Maybe it's a Dutch thing. I don't know. You tell me. You can tell me on that. But I feel like the Spurs seem like they are doing a little bit of homework, because that's probably the type of centre back that could perfectly complement someone who's overly aggressive like a Romero. Tapsoba, who plays on the left side centre back, who's also really good on the ball, can play in a high line, very athletic, right? I do think there is an element of research, and even Vicario as well.
Yeah, but it only matters, Tobes, if they get it over the line, right? Like, It's all well and good. It's all well and good them doing the research, and like, I've spoken to a lot of people that watch a lot of the Dutch league, the German league, and they've told me Van de Ven's his faults and the positives around him, and it sounds great, and that's brilliant. But if that is the player that Postecoglou wants, just go and get it done. And like somebody's put in the chat and said, Savva, you're going to look silly this week when we go and get it done. No, I bloody won't. That's what I want. I want them to go and get it done, right?
Yeah.
We simply cannot get on that plane and play 3 friendlies. Exactly. I didn't even realize I was on this. First game on tour with Dyer and Sanchez as centre-backs. Right, this is the problem. And Tobes, I see you do a show on this the other day. You just been for a run. You look really sweaty and sexy, and it was all good. It was all happening on your channel. And you were talking about centre halves. On a serious note, you were talking about centre halves. And the worry for me is this: if other clubs, 10 to 12 days ago, right, Romano comes out and says, right, Spurs are in talks with both Van de Ven and Tapsoba. So for a minute, forget what any of us 3 or the 761 people in the chat think. If that is the club target, how does it take us this long? Other clubs, Romano seems to announce they contacted the club. 2 days later, it's like a medical is happening. Bish, bash, bosh. We just don't operate like that. We're like 2 weeks down the line. What's happening? We're still in talks. I mean, guys, sorry to sound like I'm moaning, but I am.
I'm with you, man.
It's long.
For what it's worth, I don't actually believe the rumors about Van de Ven costing 40 million and the club not willing to pay that. I feel like it's easy to believe it because that's just something that the club have done time and time again. But the reason why I don't believe it in this instance is because it's not been reported by anyone credible. The same people who were reporting the news in the first place, Alistair Gold, Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, and some of the guys at the Athletic, nobody has reported this price difference issue. Nobody. The same theme has been consistent throughout, which is Spurs are looking at both and they're going to sign one or the other, which annoys me. Why just go and sign both? Both are willing to come. You need both. Go and sign both. That's my biggest issue with it. My issue is, why do we have to choose one or the other?
I agree with that as well. I agree with that, Tobes. But look, why are we now like? Surely you can't go and have your first 3 pre-season friendlies, and you haven't got your new centre backs. That I don't know whether 2 new centre backs are going to come in and play together, whether one of them is going to come in and play with Romero, whether they're going to play all three of them, and then an inverted fullback. I don't know. But surely you want that for pre-season, don't you, Fuad? Like, you want the players bonding and gelling together.
100%. I mean, you see that with Liverpool. You've seen that even with Arsenal across the road. Like, gotten their business done early. Everyone's on tour. And then that's what they call, your manager getting his pre-season in. You've now brought in a new manager before the pre-season. Give him his tools. And the thing is I feel like the positions we need to address in Larissa's replacement, the creative midfielder, the 2 centre-backs, with or without Ange, you needed to address those positions. So for me, as a club, you should have had 5-6 names for each of those positions to say, look, you've come in, we know these are weak areas, this is what we have. If you have any others you want to add in, but this is that lack of planning that I was saying I don't think we're ever prepared for. This is where we were supposed to kind of bring in Paratici. He gives us this kind of advantage. We've lost that, unfortunately. And now we're left with Daniel Levy. Anybody who's been supporting this club for as long as we have, you know what it's like when Daniel Levy is there potentially negotiating a deal. Pedro Porro in January. Let's just look at last window. Day 1 of the window, our bid was put in. We signed this guy on the last day, and it wasn't even on a permanent. We got him on a loan. And the deal got confirmed this summer. And this is why I low-key realize all of these loan deals to permanents, it just hinders our budget the very next year. Like this, now we've had Porro, we've had Kulusevski in this window get signed permanently. That's a total of 75 million there spent off the budget. But people aren't realizing this. And I'm like, this is that lack of planning where I feel like January, essentially, that means we spent no money. That was your final window to kind of back Conte and really give him a push, and that's how you went out. So for me, it's just the same old kind of monster rearing its head again of when Daniel Levy's at the negotiating table, things will be slow, things will be stagnant, and things will be done last minute at the cheapest price. And if there's a cheaper alternative to get, we will go and get that. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? It's really frustrating being a Spurs fan. What I would say, I've got a couple of super chats I'm going to go through quickly. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano has just said that Spurs are in talks with Wolfsburg, but the price is too high, but there are still talks ongoing. I just feel like the worry for me, guys, is if the price is too high for Van der Ven, what's it going to be like when Bayer Leverkusen turn around and go, no, you offered 50 million euros. We want 60 million euros for Tapsoba. Do you know that's my concern? Is that
my hope is that Van der Ven was the second centre back essentially.
Nice to have.
Tapsoba is the chunk of the money, but then they weren't essentially planning for Van der Ven to be this expensive, which is why they're kind of now pulling out. I have no problem with that. For me, I said to Tobes, if we're gonna ignore Van der Ven, Bella Kotchap just got relegated with Southampton. Young, aggressive. Played very well in the Premier League, left-footed, competent on the ball. Go and get me him. He will definitely cost you less than 30 million. So, in my opinion, there's options out there. For me, he is one that if the Van der Ven deal doesn't happen, go and get me Bella Kotchap straight away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, I agree. There's alternative. Go on.
There's got to be. So I was just going to quickly say I should read out some super chats. What I will say as well is there's 772 of you in here. Here you go. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get. I'll be generous to get some of the generous mood going. If we get to 7,000 subscribers by the end of the show, which is 136 away, if we get to 7,000 subscribers and 500 likes, I'll give away a Spurs shirt with the name of any name you want on the back. So we're currently, my maths, that's dreadful maths, 6,853. So we've got 147 to go, 766 of you in here. smash the subscribe button, smash the like button. And if we hit that number, I will do a raffle and give away a free Spurs shirt. We gave one away during the week. I don't know if have you guys ever done a StreamYard giveaway?
No.
I think I did. I did one for like tickets to a game.
I drew it. I put in the chat, you have to put hashtag and whatever I tell people to put in. I did it by example, and there was like 174 people had done it. And then when I did the draw, my name won. Like, of all the people that could win, it was like my name went to draw again. Just like corrupt FIFA stuff going on. G Money, thank you so much for the super chat. I said, I'm so happy I don't get judged at my job for the way I exit my car. Disgusting agenda on Ndombele. Panel's faults on Ndombele staying. We'll come to that. I'll come to that at the end. I've got a feeling I'm going to disagree massively with these two on this. Joe Hallworth said 4 years from now, Spurs will still be trying to get something out of Richarlison. It's what we do with all our players, rinse and repeat. And Tobes will still be sitting here with his Richarlison shirt, with his 8 goals in 4 years.
I told you this season, last chance to lose this season.
Do you know what Richarlison is? Yeah, he's the classic old. Lucas Moura did it for the past 4 years. Lamela did it for the past 4 years. They're guys here with just enough technical ability to make you think there's a player in there.
Yeah, there's a player in there. Yeah.
They've also got that doggedness about them, and they chase these lost causes and blind alleys that get the fans behind them. So they're like, yo, these men are fighting for the badge. You can't trick me.
Well, let's talk about a player that might be tricking people. Actually, before we do, big up Joe Lewis from his yacht in Bahama. Big up, my man. Try getting off your boat and buying us some players, mate. That would be much more appreciated. He said, joining from my yacht in Bahamas, show respect. Always, Joe. Thank you. Make sure you're seen at Spurs at some point. I'm sure you'll get a wonderful reception for the way you've run the club. Going back to G Money's comment, I've seen both of you talk about Ndombele, so I get the feeling I'm going to be the only one that he's talking about here with the Ndombele disrespect. I'll put it right out there, Fuad. I have no interest in seeing this man in a Spurs shirt again. We've had 4 years, like you've just said there, there's a player in there. 4 years of failure, and we want to give him another
look at that. Chance. Hey, using his own analogy.
He said it. He said it, Tobes, didn't he?
There's
a player in there. There's a player in there.
No, don't wait. Answer Savva's question, brother.
You see, the difference is,
oh, here we go.
When I talk about the ability of the likes of Richarlison and Moura, I said there's just enough ability to make you think. With Ndombele, there's almost too much ability. You see this guy play with the ball, and you're like, nah. Even when I saw him at Napoli in games last year, he wasn't a regular starter. But when he'd come on, he would give energy. He would give pressing. I could see a player there, and I was like, listen, the only reason why I'm kind of a little bit obsessed, I'll be honest with you, is because the guy is our record bloody signing. So for me, it's almost like, I understand we want to cut our nose almost, I feel like, to spite our face because he's been that bad for us. But there was a year where he was good for us. Then a year where Conte had no...
Hang on, was it a year, Fuad? Was it a year, or was it about 3 games and one of them was against like Sheffield United and the other one in a cup game where we won about 5-0?
No, you're harsh there. You're being harsh there. I thought that season under Jose, I thought was his most consistent. Okay, I won't say it was a brilliant year. It was his most consistent year under us. Then comes the Conte year. I think he falls off the map. Conte has no interest in this guy. He goes to Lyon.
Oh, he's not a Conte player for sure. He's He's definitely not a Conte player.
He goes to Napoli though, and he does what he's supposed to do. And now I'm like, you've come back, a new manager. And the thing is I don't think he's going to be given the same role as I think the first time around he was with us. Oh, we're trying to force him into the lineup. We're trying to make him work. We're trying to put him in different systems. How can we get the best out of Ndombele? This time coming back, one, he's got definitely a bigger point to prove under a new manager. But secondly, he's going to be coming off the bench. Similar like he was at Napoli last year. He's going to be coming against tired legs. And I feel like a player of that natural creative ability, that natural technical ability coming off the bench against tired legs, we need that.
Okay, but Fuad, isn't Postecoglou known for his high pressing, high energy, everyone works hard for 90 minutes? Now imagine, right? Now imagine you're a central midfielder, Fuad, right? And you're told, right, for 90 minutes, right? For 90 minutes, even for 10 minutes, you're doing all that man's running. All of that man's running because he's a lazy git.
And guess what?
Really?
This is why I love, in all honesty, our midfield options this year a little bit, because you've got Bissouma and Bentancur, who will always, in my opinion, sit behind him and do those dirty work. Those two, that's literally what they're there for. I feel like the role he's going to play is almost like a replacement for Maddison, if you like. When Maddison's tired,
you think he's going to drop into the 10?
I think that's the role he's going to play, in my opinion.
Probably play a bit deeper.
The 10 or the third most forward of the three in midfield. That's how I see it. I don't see him being the box-to-box role we was trying to play him in, or a double pivot. Now you've got Bentancur, you've got Bissouma. Bissouma can be the sitter, if you like. You've even got Skip there and Højbjerg if they don't leave by the end of the window. But for me, Ndombele, you're not going to have to worry about him tracking back and doing all those doggies like it was the first time.
I just can't help but feel, though, this is year 5.
He's going to have to put in work, though.
This is year 5, Tobes. Like, listen, this is like your missus, right? Going out 4 weekends in a row and cheating on you, and then going, you know what? It's going to be different this weekend if she goes out. It's going to be different. No, it's not. It's not. It's built into her. It's built into her. This is what she's doing. Not yours. I just meant in general. Like,
she makes a mean roast dinner, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right then. Keep her in. Keep her in. Keep her in. But aren't we? Come on, aren't we not learning our lesson? Like, I feel like we did this with like Sissoko forever. I'm not saying he's as good technically, but we did this with Sissoko forever. Eric Dyer's been at the club for about 54 years. You know what it is? Sanchez, Sessegnon.
I think that's my issue, honestly. Yeah, is that I've personally, that's the reason why I'm kind of willing to constantly give Ndombele. I've seen us give time after time and chance after chance to guys with half the ability of this guy. So my theory is if we've given chance to Mora, Lamela, Sanchez, Dyer, Winks, all these guys, Sissoko, they've all had countless opportunities to. Why can't we give this guy who everybody can clearly see is a talented footballer? Okay, maybe he doesn't have the mentality to be the top. Maybe he doesn't have that engine. But a new manager has come in and said he's willing to work with him. He's willing to see what he can get out of him. Let's just see what that
I think I'm just bored of the same old players. I think that's half the problem, man. Like, I can't listen. If he stays, let's be honest. We're football fans, right? Whatever we debate here has absolutely no bearing on what Postecoglou is going to do. If he plays him, I'll get behind it, right? But I can't get excited by it because I get the feeling the first 3 or 4 games you might see a bit of an uplift. You might see him going from covering 1 kilometer a game to maybe 1.5, the lazy git. But I then get the feeling after 3 or 4 games, we'll go back to in the centre circle, holding his knees because he's had to do 1 lung-busting run up the field. I'm really unimpressed. I think he's a I think he's a 5-a-side guy who I'd love on my team down at goals. I don't think anyone would get the ball off him.
You know what it is with Ndom, man? I feel like I know we've been here before, we said this before, but this is honestly last chance hurrah for him, man. Because let's entertain the idea of selling him. I'm not opposed to the idea of selling Ndombele. Like, I don't think he's done, let's be real, he's not done anywhere near enough in his Spurs career to justify being kept, right? So if Ange Postecoglou turned around and said, I want Ndombele sold, I'm with it. I'm calm with it. Like, it would hurt me a little bit because of the player I like, and also the fact that we lack technicians in this team. But I would understand it because he's had multiple opportunities in the past and he hasn't taken them. However, I think the fact that he's willing to work and the fact that Ange Postecoglou is willing to work with him, right? Like you said, a guy, Savva, who's famed for making his players work, all of his teams working hard, etc., etc. Fundamentally, Ange Postecoglou also wants to play entertaining football. He wants to play good football. He wants players who are confident with the ball. And whether we hate Ndombele's work ethic, etc., all the negative things that you can bring on Ndombele which are valid, the positives are glaringly obvious to see, which is that when this guy's on the ball, there are very few players in our team and around the Prem that can do what he can do with the ball, right? So we're not talking about Ndombele being a linchpin in this team. We're no longer talking about Ndombele being a starter in this team. We're talking about Ndombele being a nice to have. If Ange Postecoglou can squeeze something out of Ndombele, if Ndombele is willing to work and be a role player in this team, his contribution as a role player in this team would be good. If he was functional and he was working well, and we had a James Maddison and Basuma start the game, and then I don't know, obviously Bentancur's not back yet. I don't know what we're going to do with that other midfielder until he comes back yet. But having someone like Ndombele to call upon off the bench, I'm never going to be mad at that. Never. Because he just has the ability to change a game of football if he comes onto the pitch fresh. So I think the situation is the situation. In the past, we depended on Ndombele. He couldn't deliver, right? And we were lacking in quality. So we needed him to play, and he just, for whatever reason, just couldn't give the manager what they needed at the time to pick him, right? But those were situations where we needed him as a starter. I no longer believe that Spurs need Ndombele as a starter. I think we've sort of moved past Ndombele being a week in, week out starter. I think we've got James Maddison, we've got Basuma, and if and when Bentancur comes back, I feel like that's the midfield three, right? I think what we're asking for now of Ndombele is, okay, cool. You may not be a linchpin, but can you be good enough to be someone who can actually help lift this squad, right? You have to work. Before he was touted to be a starter. Now I don't think he is a starter. If he doesn't,
how long does he get, Tobes? How long does he get? Like, do you know what I mean? Do you know he's played under about 8 different managers across 3 different clubs in the last 4 years, and no one seems to give him 90 minutes. Like no one seems to start this bloke. There must be something in his makeup that isn't.
Absolutely, there definitely is. There definitely is. But I do think that he is. I do think that it's not like the guy doesn't want to try. I just feel like it's a mentality thing, man. I think it's a mentality thing. I heard Stellini speak about him now, say earlier on this week, saying how he needs to mature. He needs to mature. That's what Stellini was saying, and there is an element of truth to that. What I'm saying is this: maybe it's a bias. It's a bias thing because I've always liked Ndombele, but I feel like there's no harm. Genuinely, there's no harm in keeping Ndombele as a role player. Like, I don't really see the detrimental impact that has to our squad. He's not, for me, he's not a bad influence in the dressing room. He's not gonna be pulling down doors, causing unrest behind the scenes. If he doesn't get picked, it's down to how you're playing, not the manager, right? And fundamentally, you now have a manager who's playing an expansive style. The only other manager he had before that was Pochettino. Jose wasn't an expansive manager.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But sorry, but just because you play for a negative, let's not call it a negative. Whether you play for an attacking manager, a defensive manager, a pragmatic manager, you still got to work hard, Tony.
No, you do.
That's my issue with him. You've got to work.
You do have to work.
No one wants to, but you have to.
No, I agree, and I think that's why I said that's what's let Ndombele down, right? The criticism for me, at times, it can go over the top. For the most part, it's warranted. It's warranted criticism for Ndombele. The reason why I mentioned Ange Postecoglou is, like, now there can be no one to blame but himself if it doesn't work. Because now this is a 4th manager, and this is the one difference between this manager versus the others is the style of play, and he's willing to work with you, and the club have turned down a bid, right? So there's backing. There's backing from the manager and from the club to try and make it a success. The ball's in his court. And I don't think, I feel like if Spurs were to sell Ndombele this summer, right? If Spurs were to sell Ndombele this summer, we get what? Maybe £20 million. Yeah. For me, when I look at the midfielders that we have that are sellable assets, Højbjerg is open to a move to Atletico Madrid. He'll fetch more money. Lo Celso, we're trying to ship him out the door. I think he might fetch more money as well. So I would much rather sell those 2 midfielders and have Ndombele as a role player. If you need to buy another 6, buy another 6. But I feel like Ndombele right now is not a deterrent to Tottenham right now because he doesn't play for Tottenham. He's not a deterrent, bro. He don't play.
I'm just thoroughly listen. At the end of the day, as I said, what will be? I'm just thoroughly unimpressed with everything he's done at this club. For me, I want to see players that want to play for Tottenham, and everything about him just kind of like the swagger. It just feels like we're a bit of a whatever to him. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Look, if he stays, cool. If he doesn't, cool. I'm not bothered either way. But guys, listen, we have got 11 minutes left, so I do want to talk about the last subject. Keep smashing the like button. Ben has put the links in for both Fuad and for Tobes for their channels. Smash the likes. Go over and subscribe. We have got 398 likes, 724 of you in here. So for the 300 that haven't, go and smash the button. Fuad, the last thing I want to talk about, I want to keep this to an hour and a half, is this. This is the big thing that's being talked about the last 48 hours. And I want to get your thoughts on the ticket prices going up in the same time where we seem to be told that we can't pay to get players in. I'm not saying there's a direct correlation there, but it's just crappy timing. What do you make of Spurs putting the prices up?
Shameless. Probably the most shameless thing this club keeps doing year after year, let's be honest, because it's not the first time. And even when you look at kind of season ticket prices in comparison around the Premier League, highest in the league. When you look around Europe, highest in Europe. Imagine being a neutral fan coming into Europe thinking, who's got the highest season ticket prices in the whole of Europe? And someone says to you, a club in North London called Tottenham Hotspurs.
Yeah, who won nothing.
What? How and why do they have the most? And now we're seeing price increases on top of that. It just doesn't make any sense for me. It's the same cliche kind of money grabbing scheme thing, which is where fans get our frustration with this board from. In all honesty, it's time and time again we see these types of weird little PR moves and deals getting done. You see moves like whether it's signing with the F1, signing with Beyonce, all these kind of commercial deals happening, but nothing actually changing on the pitch, nothing actually being spent on the team that actually is meant to be the reason why we have the stadium. And instead we treat it like it's an open corporate facility that, you know, hey man, let's just milk it for what we can. So when you said earlier, is it kind of letting Kane go? Is that the worst thing? For me, sometimes I even think is him building the stadium maybe the worst thing. It's an uncomfortable.
I said this yesterday.
I've mentioned it many a times. I think in a weird way, we thought we were going forward in building the stadium. I was like, I think that's actually held us back in our most crucial period.
Name me one positive since we moved to the stadium.
I can't. It's all been commercials. It's not been any positive for anything on the pitch. And I look at the polar opposite of that, of Chelsea, who, when they got new owners, they could have easily gone and bought a new stadium, be the rich boys. But they said, you know what we'll do? We'll focus on the pitch. We'll get success on the pitch. And now they've had 20 years of it. Now they're kind of, should we move stadium? Should we not? Because that's what you do. You decorate and furnish the house before you try and build a mansion. Do you know what I mean? You got to get the furniture in place. So, listen.
I agree with you, Fred. You know what? I said this earlier on my video. I said this yesterday on a show. For me, I think the worst thing Spurs did from a football fan point of view, right? Not from a marketing expert, not from a finance perspective, from a football fan point of view, the football's got worse since we moved out of White Hart Lane. I think the signings have got worse. I think the style of football has got worse. I feel like the club is more divided than ever. The fan base for me is more divided than I've ever seen it. And we've seen it divided, but you know, I don't know what good has come out of that stadium, apart from the financial side of things, the business world. And this is why I always say to people, Fuad, listen, I don't know where you stand on this. We've never had this conversation before, but when people say to me like, oh, go and protest if you don't like the owners, I said it's gone beyond that. Yeah. I'm no longer protesting against a football owner. I'm protesting against a business that don't use this purely for football.
Yeah,
they use this to bring in revenues from boxing, this, that. So I don't see that they're going to turn around and go, oh, the football side of it, some of the fans are unhappy. Let's get rid of it.
It's a
cash
part
cow.
of it. Yeah, it's a part of it now, and that's what it's kind of led it to kind of becoming. It's almost like an entertainment. I've said it is Tottenham Hotspur's entertainment club. It's not really football club anymore.
For sure. I mean, the thing that kills it for me, Fuad, is, you know, football for me. I say for me, it should be for everyone. It's the game for the every man and woman, isn't it? It shouldn't be that. Yeah, but it shouldn't be that. Oh, if I haven't got £100, I can't go and watch my club play. Like, some of the tickets are £95.
I mean,
and we're watching Eric Dyer. Do you know what I mean? Like, baffling.
Even if you look at Newcastle, after one good season, all of a sudden they've changed their category to a catery A. And I'm like, why? What the fuck? Yeah. Like, what? Because of one good season now. Now I have to pay the same money I'm paying to watch Man City versus Newcastle. Fuck off, man. It's just bullshit like this is why fans just look at this board and just say they're literally here for profit, not glory. It's you see it right in front of your eyes, season after season. If it's not an example off season, you will see an example of it during the season. So nothing surprises me anymore. Yeah,
it's just bad. I mean, look, I've seen people arguing for it, and people in the comments saying, "Savva, you don't have business sense." Listen, it's not about business sense. I understand how a business works, but surely, if you are going to put the price up of the product that you are selling, the product needs to get better. Like, it's not like if I'm going to use the analogy, if Apple make an iPhone, the next iPhone, in theory, that they're going to charge you more for needs to have more functions, more pizzazz and wow than the one I've just had. But what's happening at Spurs is the team's been getting worse and worse and worse and worse. League positions are getting worse and worse and worse, but the price is going like that.
Yeah.
And I get it. They can charge that because it's going to be full up. It's going to be full up, but it doesn't make it right.
No.
I've had people in my YouTube in the last 24 hours saying that they can no longer afford to take their kids. Like, they've got 2 kids, 3 kids, and they can't afford to take their kids because Spurs have priced them out. Is that the club we want to be? Is that where all these people sticking up for Levy and business sense? Is that what we've become?
Doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Doesn't make sense to me.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Anybody kind of rooting for it, you're baffling me, man. You're baffling me. You lost me on that one.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it? Listen, we will stop the show in a couple of minutes. Just quickly, the last thing we probably should talk about is Solomon. You know, it always feels like if Spurs have a bit of bad news, we somehow manage to find a little bit of good news. I mean, in terms of Levy and the PR team putting something out. Being announced today that the deal is now definitely going ahead. There was a few queries as to whether it was or not. Where are you with this deal? Does it make sense to you? Is it good business? Is it cheap? Is it Spurs?
It's just an opportunist one is how I've looked at it. They've seen that there's a player who kind of impressed back end of last season at Fulham with a few moments, and they've like, free transfer, why not kind of jump on it? I think similar situation to with Danjuma that we had in January. You kind of just stumble into a fortunate situation where there's a decent player available. You're like, why not add it to kind of bolster the ranks? Do I think he'll push for a starting position? Not in my opinion, honestly. I think he'll kind of maybe the cup games and be a rotational player for Son, or as you said, if Son moves more centrally, maybe he'll probably get some more games. But free transfer, you can't really complain, can you? And he did show glimpses at Fulham last year as to what he can kind of bring to the table. But I personally would have maybe taken up the Danjuma deal permanently. I really think he wasn't given a fair shake.
I agree with you. I think people were harsh with him as well. People were really harsh with that guy.
Moments he did come in and play, he actually impacted those games, and whether it was an assist or a goal in the FA Cup, it's like, this guy always seems like he's trying, and even off the pitch, he really seemed like he wanted to be at the club. And I was like, it just didn't make sense why we didn't use him, why we didn't follow up on the deal. So we've got Manor Solomon in on a free now. You just take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly in the chat, so Epic has said, yeah, but Savva, they could see it that the stadium is improved, so they'll charge us for a better experience. But again, I'm not paying for the experience of having a comfy seat. I'm paying for what I watch on that bit of green grass. And that's it, right? for as nice as the stadium is, Fuad, for as good as the beer is, for as good as the food is, football is about when it hits 3 p.m. and everyone's facing at the bit of grass. That's the product I'm paying to go and see, right? So
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's baffling to me as well. A few super chats before we end the show. Joe Hallworth has said, love the stream. Fuad, we need Spurs eye view.
Hey, it's coming back next season. Don't worry. I'm making a few announcements on my YouTube and stuff like that. So that'll be one of the things I'm bringing back next season for sure.
Good. Yeah, lots of positive stuff about YouTube being on today. Orox Beats has said, EF Daniel Levy. EF, am I being stupid?
F Daniel Levy.
Oh, right. F Daniel Levy. Yeah, sorry. I don't know. Getting old, man. I'm getting old. Absolutely. And Perchy TV, please get over there and subscribe to Perchy. Really good guy. And he's got a charity stream coming up this weekend as well. So get over there and support that. I said, great show, guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you to everyone that's liked and subscribed. Tobes, what can people expect of you in the coming weeks? You've got any content you want to point out there?
Probably some Spurs content later down the line next week, but I'm trying to do more than Spurs, because talking about Spurs all the time is kind of annoying. So I'm trying to stretch it out. So I've actually got quite a cool vid coming out maybe on Tuesday. I think I'll probably get it ready for Tuesday. So I'm not going to reveal it just yet, but it's going to be an upload, and it's actually going to be quite interesting as well, because it was a debate that's been going on the last couple of days on Twitter anyway. So yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think that's why I changed mine from Spurs in my title. I like it every now and then to have a say about other clubs. 'Cause I always feel, I don't know about you guys, I feel like because I don't support those clubs, I enjoy that conversation sometimes more because I'm not personally invested in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm passionate about what I want Spurs to do. With other clubs, it's here's my opinion, but I don't support you, so I don't care. Fuad, what's going on with yourself? Where can people find you?
Fuad Kadani on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. There'll be stuff I'll be dropping throughout kind of the summer.
And Freds as well, now. I don't want to mention your Freds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Freds as well. Yeah.
You on Freds?
Everyone's on that as well. Yeah. Make sure you're following that as well. And me and Tobes will bring THFC show back in a few weeks' time as well, just before the season begins. Spurs Live will be back as well. So, keep an eye out for all of that.
Perfect. Everybody, thank you so much. It's been a really good crowd. Most of you have been impeccably behaved, which is what we want to see. Please please subscribe to everybody here. Listen, guys, we've had so many positive comments about you guys. Hopefully you'll come back on whenever you're available. You're always welcome on a Sunday. I'll keep asking until you tell me to F off, EF off. But thanks so much for coming on, guys. As always, everybody, come on, you Spurs. And here's a 10-second video to see you out. Bye-bye.